Let's head to Iowa City, where the number 9 ranked Oregon Ducks, number 9 according to the new CFP, not number 6 like they were in the AP and coaches poll before, head to meet the freshly minted number 20 Iowa Hawkeyes. Hawkeyes at home plus 6.5. So as far as these CFP rankings for these two teams, Coach Drew, and we talked about this last night on our TikTok live, the College Football Playoff Committee downgraded Oregon's ranking based on a new metric that they call strength of record, which I think all of us college football fans, if you paid attention to what they were saying, really means style points. So strength of record, as far as our interpretation, is just, all right, everybody's strength of schedule is different, but if you've got a weak schedule, then you need to beat the hell out of the teams that you're playing, kind of like Indiana did last year when their schedule wasn't that tough. In Oregon, I think that their 21-7 win over Wisconsin didn't score them a lot of style points or brownie points with anybody, rightly or wrongly. That's our interpretation of how the rankings went down. Whereas on the other side of the coin, the Hawkeyes, who have been really rolling and taking care of business the last few weeks, they got a boost from their strength of record, air quotes, meaning style points, for blowout win against Minnesota and Wisconsin. So a head-to-head opponent, I think Iowa beat Wisconsin 38-0. So I want to say that about the rankings for these two teams since this is our Big Ten game of the week. So I think the perception, Coach Drew, between Oregon and Iowa is that Oregon is the flashy team. They're the new school team. They're the Pac-12 team that transplanted to the Big Ten, and they get a lot of headlines, and they got Nike money, and they got fancy jerseys. And that Iowa is the gritty team, the old school team, the smash mouth team. And I kind of understand why casual fans or people who work at ESPN who have never watched an Iowa game in their life might think that as far as a surface level observation, but neither one of those things is 100% true. I think at their core, Dan Lanning and Kirk Ferentz, the dean of Big Ten coaches, or Master Splinter, as Drew likes to call him because he's the wise old sensei, they both have the same philosophy of hard-nosed defense and establishing a running game first. I do think that there's similarities. They're from different generations, but this is going to be a physical football game that is going to be won and lost in the trenches for the most part. So we'll give you a few stats real quick. Iowa's offense is ranked number 53 in scoring offense, which you're like, 53 is not very high, but they're scoring 31 points a game. So this Iowa team is not the Iowa teams from a couple of years ago who would win a game 10-3 or whatever. It's not like that. Now, on the other side of the ball, this Oregon defense is number 6 in the country in scoring defense at 13.5 points a game. The knock on this Oregon defense right now, Drew, is that their pass rush has been disappointing and underwhelming based on the level of talent that they have. And I don't want to call out any individual players in that assessment, but their sack totals just don't really stack up with the level of recruiting stars and adulation that some of the guys in their defensive front had coming in from a preseason perspective. But I will say about this Oregon team, this ain't the pass rush game, baby. This is the stop the run game, and they got some big old boys that can stop the run. Washington and Bear Alexander at defensive tackle, Ugalele at defensive end, Betcher at linebacker. I don't want to leave, I'm not going to name everybody on the defense, but they got some badasses up front on that front seven, and that's what they're going to have to do against this Hawkeye team. I think we know what to expect from this Hawkeye offense for the most part, Coach Drew, which is, Kamari Moulton's going to be ready as always at running back for the Hawkeyes. I mean, I feel like, and, it's an exaggeration maybe, but I feel like I look at an Iowa box score and it's a reliable Kamari Moulton for 14 or 50 carries for 75 to 80 yards or something. He's going to go out there and get you close to 5 yards a pop, bang between the tackles behind that stud offensive line that Iowa has. I think the key for Iowa offensively, or at least what I would like to see him do, I think they need to get All-American kick returner Caden Wheatgen involved in the offense and get him some more touches than what he's been getting. I think he's averaging about 5-point-something offensive touches a game. Then obviously he gets his kick and punt return opportunities. I think if they incorporate Wheatgen a little more into the screen game with some at least fake end arounds, jet sweep type of plays, it will allow Iowa to spread and stretch this Oregon defense side to side, which could give them more opportunities to run it between the tackles, which is really what they want to do. Gronowski also has been a little dinged up with kind of a knee injury. He is good to play this weekend. That's something to keep an eye on, though. Now let's look at the Duck offense versus the Hawkeye defense. So the Ducks are number 5 in scoring offense in the country at 41 points a game. And isn't it kind of funny, Drew, that they bang them? The C committee dings them for style points when they've got the number 6 scoring defense and the number 5 scoring offense. It's a little, I feel like maybe they were picking on the Ducks a little bit. I don't know if that's with any malintent, but I just wanted to point that out, that their numbers don't look like a team that doesn't have style points. So anyway, the Oregon offense has kind of struggled to pass recently. At the beginning of the year, Dante Moore, who I like a lot, was getting a lot of Heisman hype at quarterback, but they went from being one of the top-ranked passing teams in the country to the number 5th or around 5th in passing as the seasons went along. I think part of that has to do with defenses, Wisconsin in particular, that kind of went into like some softer shell coverages with some zone looks where they're just like, we're not going to let you beat us throwing the ball deep. We're going to kind of keep you in front of us and force you to beat us running it. And Oregon is a good running team. As I said earlier, I know that Dan Lanning hangs his hat on physicality in the running game, but I just think that some of the things maybe that worked for Oregon at the beginning of the year have been taken away as the seasons went along. So I think a key for Oregon in this game, as they face a stout, and I mean stout, front 7 from the Iowa Hawkeyes, is to do kind of what they've been doing all year, which is to rotate running backs. And that's kind of what they've done. They've got 3 guys who have pretty close to the same yardage totals. Just keep hammering away at that Iowa defense. You cannot be impatient if you're Dante Moore in this game when, you have a couple drives, 2 or 3 drives at the beginning where you don't score and just think that you're going to throw deep. You have a fly? Is there a fly in your room, Coach Drew, in your office, in your recording studio? What's going on over there? You got a fly?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay. Did you take some Benadryl?
Why is there... No.
Don't watch me. Watch Coach Drew.
I have a projector going in front of me. That's why. Sorry. I have multiple screens going. Guys, while Nick is talking and giving you some great insight here, I'm trying to figure out some more insight and help him. Sorry.
So the Hawkeye defense is the number 4 scoring defense in the country at 13 points a game. And this Hawkeye defense in particular, talking about going against the stereotypes that both of these teams have, this Hawkeye defense is more athletic than advertised, especially in the front 7. This is a pass rush by committee. I think one of the keys for them, and I would bet you a crisp $20 bill, Coach Drew, if you're still awake, that part of the game plan is to limit DeCorian Moore in the passing game because he is Oregon's biggest deep threat. They're going to find ways to situationally double team him and bracket him. And then they're going to try to do what they did to Indiana, which is to drag you into the mud and have a rock fight in the mud in Iowa City with a children's hospital next door. That's what they're going to do. Drew, to me, as a football guy who enjoys line of scrimmage play and hard-hitting football, I'm really looking forward to this game. Very much looking forward to this game. I want to say one more thing. Special teams in this game are huge. As we stated, Iowa's got an All-American kick and punt returner. He's got 2 punt return touchdowns on 16 attempts this year. You know why he only has 16 punt return attempts, Coach Drew? Because they try not to kick him the fucking ball because they're afraid he's going to run it back. That's why he's only got 16 attempts. He's still got 2 returns. He also had a kickoff return for touchdown. So Oregon needs to be sound in their lanes and kick and kick coverage. Don't allow any cutback lanes and kick and punt coverage. Be disciplined in coverage. And for Iowa, as always, special teams goal, control field position, flip the field, block for Wheatgen. Maybe block a punt, maybe block a kick, maybe they sneak a crazy onside kick in there. I don't know. If you're an old school football fan that likes hard hitting football, it doesn't get a lot better than this. That's my 2 cents, Coach Drew.
According
Hope you
to
found
the
that
Doppler,
fly. I need to get you a fly swatter for Christmas?
Yeah, you might have to.
I'm gonna start a Patreon so we can get Coach Drew one of those fancy bug zappers to hang in his studio office there. Here on the Midwest Blitz.
Well, I will say this. You probably don't have to worry about bugs in Iowa this weekend because the Doppler radar in Tornado Alley over there in the new Tornado Alley, if you like tornadoes, that's up there Midwest Blitz. Maybe we could do Midwest Blitz chasing storms. But Iowa is going to be a dirty mess in the weather. So now you got 2 teams that are going to be pounding it away. Master Splinter of Iowa goes against, now here's the new nickname, Shredder of Oregon. a classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference. So now we got these two masterminds going against each other. And I'm not saying Dan Lanning's a bad person by any means by being Shredder, but I just want to say he goes into places he's not
Jesus, Drew.
welcome and he shreds it up. Well, I'm trying to give him some cool points here. I mean, he went to Happy Valley, did his thing and won in overtime. Now
That's
we
why I
talk
call him the
about
road
style
dog.
points.
He's the road dog.
Okay. All right, we'll talk
He can
about
be
style points.
He can be Shredder. I like Shredder. Shredder's a badass.
Well, when Shredder had to go against Franklin the Turtle earlier this season, so we're talking about style points. I had Oregon 6 for the same reason you just said. They have a good offense, they have a good defense, right? Very good, right? But because they played bad against Penn State, if I'm Dan Lanning, that's all I need right there. I said, I'm sure Dan Lanning's probably telling his troops, he's like, listen, they want to see some style points. We'll show them some effing style points here. I mean, Iowa is going to be battling the trenches. This is going to look some Big Ten football. Maybe we'll even see some wishbone action. Maybe we'll see some wishbone action from Iowa. That's unfortunate. Gronkowski, one of our favorite horses to run the racetrack, if he's limping around, we don't want to see that. They have been beating teams. Actually, Iowa, I believe, has a top 25 point differential team margin, so they are blowing out teams. When they first started the season, they weren't, and we're sorry that we didn't say that.
They're beating the hell out of people right now.
I mean,
Coach Drew, I think I found that fly. I think it's on the wall behind you.
Oh, you found it?
I found it.
Where?
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is I'm going to tell you guys, there's this thing about PC bias and the AP Bowl that we talk about. Welcome to the show, Iowa, a team that we've been talking about for months, right when it actually matters. Not the AP, the college football playoffs. We've been talking about this, previewing this team for months. Yeah, they lost to Iowa State, and we're not going to bring up bad memories. That was a nightmare.
Farmageddon.
Listen, now you look at it and you're like, whoa. Wait a minute. Iowa's doing what we thought they were going to do in Iowa City. If you don't have anything better to do, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time, you better be clocked in. This is an eliminator game.
If you got invited to a wedding, fucking cancel that shit and watch this football game. I'm telling you won't regret it.
Yeah, plan your weddings on a Friday like I did. Be a dude.
Thank you, Coach Drew. I appreciate you planning your wedding on a Friday next year. That was a man move right there.
Yes. Yeah, because nobody cares about Saturday. Plus, it's cheaper. We're not going to get into the finances of how cheap Drew is, but...
Respect. Dude, I'm pumped about this game. This has turned into a Midwest goodbye right now. I think this is an unpredictable ball game. I mean, you look at Oregon, and Oregon does have the potential for, bigger passing plays offensively, but I mean, Parker, the D coordinator for Iowa, he's been doing this for a minute, Coach Drew. It's like I tell people when I'm reffing a football game or umpiring a baseball game, I'll tell them sometimes when I meet the coach, like, I've done this a few times here. And by a few times, I mean a few thousand times. So, let's just get that straight at start. Parker's been doing this for a while. He's pretty damn good at it. So I think that they're going to limit Decory more, like I said, or at least that's going to be their game plan. But who knows? It only takes one busted coverage, right? Look what Surratt did to win the game for Indiana when they went out to Iowa City. But, I mean, the other way around is true. Broken play on special teams. Dude, this Iowa defensive front is chock full of playmakers. In fact, I would compare this Iowa front seven in some ways to the Indiana front seven in that there's not just one or two star players that make all the plays. It's a very much like, hey, when the ball comes my way, it's my turn. When the ball goes the other way, it's your turn. And I'm going to maintain rush lanes and all that coach shit that I'm not going to bore you guys with, especially on audio only. But anybody in this Iowa front seven is capable of knocking your dick in the dirt. And that's why I like watching Iowa football. I mean, their offensive line we've been bragging about all year. I know some of the Iowa fans thought we were selling them short a few weeks ago. And maybe I did sell them short just one time this year. But we've been on the Hawkeyes, and I also really love Dan Lanning as a coach and enjoy watching Oregon. So this is going to be, for real Big Ten football fans, this is absolute must-see TV.
Absolutely. One team's going to be eliminated. Another team's going to be basically eliminated.
I don't want to see these teams eliminated. I don't want to see it, but that's what's going to happen, bro. You're right. I know you're right, but Just the way it is.
Welcome to the main event is what we're dealing with on Saturday night. This is one of the main fights of the Big Ten. The Big Ten got some good fight cards coming up, and this is one of them.
That's a 3:30 Eastern game, right, Coach Drew?
Yes, sir. 30.
Man.
Oh, yeah. That's Oregon's noon, if anybody was paying attention to that.
Yeah, so we were questioning Oregon traveling east. I feel like they should, especially with Dan Lanning being the road dog, as I've named him. I was going to say this about the road dog, Coach Drew. You know how they mock the other team's stadium celebrations? Like they mocked Jump Around last year, and then they did something for the whiteout at Penn State this year where
They
they
wore
were
white
like,
out. They were all white.
right. So what do they do for the Children's Hospital wave? Are they just ready to wave? Is that they're just like, yep, hello? Because you can't make fun of that. You can't. What do you do
that's a
there?
mutual ground. I mean, I think they'll find other things. Maybe if Iowa's playing weird and they're just running the ball and Oregon runs up the score, they might go night-night or snooze and be like, this offense is boring, which some people have Iowa being offensive boring sometimes. So I think that's the only mocking they would do. I think the children's wave is kind of like, it's a little rough.
They're going to go the day before.
Then he would be Shredder, right?
He would be. They're going to go the day before and sign autographs at the Children's Hospital just to steal the thunder. I don't know. I thought about though, like, oh, that's the stadium celebration that you actually cannot mock. I had a little funny daydream in my head about that, but yeah, what a great ball game.